when we talk about the importance of the climate defenders, since all of you are climate defenders. Well, to talk a little bit, before I call Aaron, I just wanted to present some of our new members of this group, or some people who joined us this afternoon, and I'm going to announce their names here. So we have here a representative of a senator in Brazil. His name is Clovis Boufflet. So, Clovis, hello. Thank you very much for joining us. Clovis is representing the Senator Flávio Arns, and he's here to be part of the launch of this report. We also have the Executive Secretary of the National Movement for the ODS, the Sustainable Development Objectives. His name is Maurício Barcelos. Maurício, thanks for coming. And we also have a professor at Uni Andrade University. His name is Breno Paulo Herbert. Thank you, Brett. You are all welcome to this group. This is a group of climate defenders, as you already know, and we're happy to have you here, to have you all. So now I'm going to call Aaron Bakker, who is the Climate Defenders manager in 350.org. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly your position, but Climate Defenders, he's the person responsible for the Climate Defenders program in 350. And Aaron is going to let us know more about the report.
Thank you, Perry, and welcome everyone. It's great to be here with you, and to our viewers online as well. Wildfires burning out of control, mass floods, devastating towns, the loss of glaciers, the failure of life-dependent crops, the list goes on. Climate impacts are happening now. Just at this time of incredible urgency to halt climate change, we would expect the governments, institutions and corporations of this world to do everything they could to transform our world beyond fossil fuels. But in too many cases, the opposite is happening. The fossil fuel industry is digging in, taking new and desperate, dangerous measures to protect their vested interests. It's time to expose the wide-ranging ways that fossil fuel companies and their allies, corrupt politicians, governments and organised crime, violate human rights. They are responsible for some of the most severe and disturbing violations, from murders to blocking the freedom of association and expression. This report exposes the spectrum of methods and ways fossil fuel companies do this. The report reviews direct and indirect human rights abuses, substantive human rights abuses, like the right to health, life, water, and so on, and procedural abuses, such as to remedy and justice. The cases that are used demonstrate the breadth of abuses and are some of the most notorious cases and current cases, some of which 350.org is involved in, and many in the room here are involved in. It includes Shell's operations in Ogoniland in the Niger Delta, Chevron Texaco in the Ecuadorian Amazon, the Yatan, Yenikoi and Kemakoi coal power plants in the Muğla region of Turkey, the Bayou Bridge pipeline in the United States, the Rampal coal power plant in Bangladesh, the murder of Samir Flores in Mexico, the Lamu power plant in Kenya, the Adani coal mine in Australia, the carbon majors Inquiry in the Philippines, and lastly, Milieu de France and others versus Shell in the Netherlands. The report exposes the fossil fuel industry as reckless and inhumane. When we also consider how it is at the root cause of climate change, it's clear we need to have resistance wherever there is a new project. Wherever there is new funding, we need to stop it. As the climate movement grows across the world, we've never seen such a movement as we have over the past year. We must be in solidarity and support of those climate defenders at the front line who risk everything for the benefit of us all, who show incredible bravery, amazing strategy, and dedication. So this report, in a way, also launches the commitment of 350.org and many partners that we have in this room here to reclaim space for climate defenders and put them at the forefront of the climate movement. So thank you for being here.
So thank you very much, Aaron. And we're going to watch a video now by the author of the report. Her name is Annalisa Savarez, as you already know. She's a professor at the University of Stirling. She was not able to be here, unfortunately. She lives in Scotland, a little far. But she wanted to record or to say something, so she recorded a video for us to watch her and to listen a little bit about what she has to say about the report. So we're going to watch this now.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to present this report to this amazing audience of environmental defenders. I hope you forgive me for not being there with you, but I believe that for the sake of the climate, this is a much better way to share my insights with you. Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to present this report to this amazing audience of environmental defenders. I hope you forgive me for not being there with you, but I believe that for the sake of the climate, this is a much better way to share my insights with you. I was very pleased to coordinate this report for 350 authors. It brings together the research of a pool of very talented young scholars, as well as activists from all over the world. The report clearly highlights the widespread direct and indirect human rights abuses associated with the operations of fossil fuel companies. Based on a series of case studies from all continents, the report shows how the extraction of fossil fuels and energy have led to egregious violations of both substantive and procedural human rights, often with complicit involvement of state authorities. It has also shown that, in recent years, increasing efforts have been made to use human rights law and remedies to argue that fossil fuel companies have specific responsibilities to redress and prevent the impact of climate change. While some important victories have been secured at the local level, the viability of complaints based on global impacts of operations of fossil fuel corporations is currently at the center of ambitious legal action. Despite these advances, human rights law also presents clear limitations. It provides means to name and shame human rights abuses, but offers only limited, if any, compensatory relief or means to deter further harm, and typically only kicks in after the abuse has been carried out. So in and of themselves, human rights complaints may make little difference if they are not followed by adequate action to remedy the harm caused and to prevent further harm. Even the enforcement of court judgments is not to be taken for granted. For example, our report shows how victims of human rights violations associated with oil extraction in the Niger Delta are still waiting today for remediation of the harm caused to their lands, water, and livelihood, in spite of multiple court victories before national, regional, and international tribunals. Human rights obligations are therefore no replacement for effective legislation concerning environmental harm, and human rights remedies are no replacement for effective preventative and remedial measures against environmental harm caused by fossil fuel content. Yet, past experience suggests that successful human rights complaints can help to bring about a change in attitudes by courts and lawmakers, as the anti-trafficking movement in Latin America has really demonstrated. So by highlighting principles of universality, non-discrimination, the rights of future generations, and those living outside the state's territory, human rights arguments can give a voice to the voiceless, as the carbon major inquiry has clearly demonstrated. The successes achieved thus far are likely to continue to inspire others, and the outcome of pending complaints may further embolden our applicants or suggest new avenues to test the full potential of human rights arguments. Much more can be done going ahead. Human rights may be relied upon more systematically to complain about abuses perpetrated directly or indirectly by fossil fuel companies. Human rights grievance mechanisms at the national, regional, and international level may be used as institutionalized pathways to monitor and sanction human rights violations and to put pressure on corporate actors to redress the harm they cause. Ultimately, human rights provide an important tool to counter the significant shortfalls in the regulation of corporate conduct by emphasizing the state's obligation to adopt legislation, enforce it properly, and provide access to adequate remedies. With this, I take my leave from you and wish you all the best for your important work. Thank you very much.
Okay, so this was Annalisa Savarese, as we already such as the leading professor or the leading author of this study, of this report. Annalisa talked about some aspects of the human rights mechanisms that might be useful and that might be necessary for us to continue the fight against the violations, against the abuses by the fossil fuel industry. Aaron mentioned some of the cases that the report talks about and mentioned some of the data that the report brings. And now we're going to listen to some of the stories that are represented in this report, because it's important also, of course, to listen to the defenders when we have a report like that. So we challenged 3 of our friends here to talk a little bit about their stories in a short time, and they accepted the challenge. And I'm going to invite these 3 defenders to tell a little bit of their stories, each by one time. So I will first invite João Capatoy from the Philippines, and he will come here and will reply to 3 questions about his story. Thank you, João. Claps for João. It looks like a talk show like that. Okay, so João Capatoy, you already know him, but some people who are watching us don't. And some people who joined us this afternoon just for the launch of the report do not know him yet. So this is João Capatoy. He's 23 years old. He's from the Philippines. And the Philippines are one of the countries that are mentioned in the report, because it is a very hotspot for human rights violations by the fossil fuel industry, but also a hotspot for community fight and for some winnings from the community, right? So my first question to you, and now we're starting the challenge.
Yes.
My first question to you is, what exactly were the impacts of the fossil fuel industry in your community? How did they affect your community?
Well, there are so many impacts and effects of these carbon majors in our community. For one is the health impact, the second is livelihood, and the third one is the safe, secure place for the people, because these carbon majors, these corporations are displacing the people who are living there, because of course they need land where they can build their, where they can construct their coal-fired power plant, specifically in our place in Lamau. And there have been cases of like health issues, skin problems, respiratory problems, and not just the health, the livelihood, the water, the land, but also the defenders, we defenders ourselves. One case is Gloria Capitan. She was shot in front of their house. She was the one who led the fight against the construction of the coal-fired power plant in our area. That was 2016, upon sitting of the Duterte administration.
Thank you. And hearing you, what is the, I think we tend to wonder, what is the work that your community is doing? What are you doing in your community to fight the fossil fuel industry?
Well, first, we are mobilizing the community. We are organizing them. We are giving them information. We are educating them so that they would know their rights. And by knowing their rights, they are the ones who will lead the fight, because they are the ones vulnerable. They are the ones who are experiencing it. And there are no people who would help them except from themselves. And basically, we are doing mobilization in front of the coal-fired power plants in the corporation, as well as in their main office in Manila, in the Philippines. And so that's what we are doing. We are organizing, we are arousing, we are giving awareness to the communities who are being affected and impacted of these carbon majors.
And my third question to you is, you're one of the youngest climate defenders in this room. You're very young. You're part of the youth movement as well. What is your personal motivation to be part of the climate movement and to be part of the fight against the abuses by the fossil fuel industry?
Yes, I would like to tell a little bit of my history. The very reason why I started my advocacy and my fight and my cause was way back 2004. I experienced a flash flood because of the discharge of water coming from the mega dam in our area in Quezon. That was November 29, 2004. That was a time that I lost my friends, my dear friends. And losing friends, losing neighbor friends, is something painful for me. And I know that it was because of the discharge of the water coming from the mega dam. Without these dams in that mountain, I am perfectly sure that my friends would still be alive today. So that was my motivation. And then when I moved there in Bataan, one of my colleagues was shot. It was Gloria Capitan. Her fight was just to safe, secure, and peaceful environment, peaceful community. But then, because of her cause, because of her fight, she was shot. And also, one of the closest friends I have there in Bataan is Gerald. He was forced to he has no choice but to work inside a coal-fired power plant. He just worked there for 3 months, and then later on he got sick. He had a respiratory problem because he was working on outside inside the power plant, but with the bottom ash. It was so toxic. And then after months of getting sick, he suddenly died. You know, losing people, losing lives, losing people who are very dear to you is very painful and important. It is a call for someone like me to continue what you are aiming for, to continue with your fight, and to aim for a better future for the next generation, because it is the next generation that would benefit. Our very fight is for the benefit of the next generation. And I would like to add this line that I've been using, that the environment is our life. Human cannot live without an environment, but environment can survive for thousands, for millions of years without human.
Thank you very much. So, hello. Another story, another person we challenged here to tell our story, to explain one of the cases that is included in the report, is Raya Ahmed. So please, Raya, come here and cheers to Raya. Raya, thank you.
Thank you too.
So Raya Ahmed is from Lamu, Kenya. Is that right?
Yes.
Raya, my first question to you is similar to the one I did to Jawon. Can you tell us briefly how the fossil fuel industry is impacting your community?
Okay. First, I want to share with the audience that Lamu is a World Heritage Site, and there are things that we've been preserving for centuries, like the culture, the religion, the way we build our houses there, the transport system. As we are talking right now, there's only one car in Lamu, only one car. The city is made in such a way that there are many streets, cars cannot pass there. So we normally walk and we use donkeys for transportation. And we have this serene environment, very virgin, because there are no industries in Lamu. We are, I think, one of the lucky creatures that up to now we breathe very fresh air from God, because there are no industries, no pollutions, and since independence we don't have any major development in Lamu. Until recently, that our government want to implement big projects, and one is the LabSet, which has 6 components in it. It has international airport, resort cities, standard gauge railway, and many more. And the second one is the coal power plant. So we are feeling like the Lamu people there, yes, we want development, but not at the expense of people's life. Because you know, when development comes, they take very substantive human rights, the right to life. There are people who are killed because they are displaced. Their right to health. They bring projects which pollute the air, pollute the environment, and people get sick and they die. So we as Lamu people, we are not ready for that. Then there's the right of privacy. These are places, they are places where people worship. They are places where people bury their dear ones. And you know, when project comes, they don't mind if there are your people there. We have the forest cover where there are some people living there, and they are sacred places. So because of this, we are not ready to sacrifice Lamu at the expense of development.
The report also mentions that you, in Lamu, had a recent win, right? You won one of the fights you were fighting. And can you tell a little bit about this win?
Actually, we have two cases where we got victory, and I also want to share with my fellow human rights defenders that the voice of the people matters a lot. But you have to stand together, because we fought the first project, which is very big. For 6 years we went to court telling the government that there are many things you need to do before you implement this project. And we won, because one of the issues were issues of compensation. The government there just forcefully took the land from the community. And we petitioned that if you want to implement a project in a community area, you need first to share information, tell them what is going on, because these are human beings, these are not animals first, so you share information. Two, if you want to take their land, you need to give them alternative place of living. And either you give them another land or you give them compensation, it's money. Then there was the issue of the fisher folk. You know, they want to build 32 small ports in Lamu. That means they will be dredging the sea. And right now, the boats that we use to cross the channel are the old traditional wooden boats. So if you dredge the sea, it becomes very risky, becomes very dangerous for people to pass there. And two, for the fisher folk, they use the old traditional methods of fishing. So when the sea is too deep, they can't go there. So you have to give them an alternative source of living. Then the last one was about the social corporate responsibility. There are people in Lamu who are not farmers, and there are people in Lamu who are not fisher folk. So what will happen to them? So we told the government, you have to give us something, at least we know that we're implementing this project in our land and we're getting this back. And the government agreed to compensate the farmers, to give a scholarship to the people of Lamu, to share information. About the fisher folk, I'm told they have refused because they have appealed. Then we have the second case, which is the coal-fired power plant. With this, we say no. You know, we had issues with the first project, but with coal we have no issues. We are saying we don't want coal. Not in Lamu, not in Africa, not anywhere in the world, because we know how destructive coal power plants are. So because our government was not listening, we decided we go to court, and I'm one of the petitioners. And for 3 years, last year we got victory, because our government issued the license irregularly. You know, issues of corruption, the corporate world bribed the lawyers, so they were given the license, and because of the court case, the judge said that they have to revoke the license. So as we are speaking, the project is not going on there because of the voice of the people down there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a last question for you. We talked a little bit before here, and you mentioned that being a woman is different when you talk about being a climate offender as well.
Exactly.
Women are more exposed to the risks, even more than men.
Exactly.
According to what you said. Can you tell us a little bit about that? But we're running short.
Okay. There's a very close relationship between nature, the environment, and women. And you know, when you destroy nature, when you destroy the environment, by the end of the day, it is women who suffer because we are the custodians of the environment. So we are not ready as women to stay mum, to stay silent for corporates or government to come and destroy the environment, because you know, if something happens, if drought or floods or something about the climate change, men will run away, but women won't run away, because we have to look after you, we have to look after the children, we have to look after the chickens, the goats and everything. So we are the custodians of environment. So we will not accept anybody to come and do something to the environment that will in return harm the women.
Thank you very much. So, one third person we challenged to be here. I know he's been here for, he's been fighting for a long time, and we would like to invite him. Sharif, please here, and clap for Sharif. Sharif, you're from Bangladesh, but you've been fighting for causes in different places in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first question to you is, what is there in common in all the fights we see here, all the fights that are in the report? We see that we have common experiences, and you've been discussing this in the past days, right? If you could mention one thing or two that you see in common of, between the fights that we have here and the cases we have here, what would they be?
Well, a very good afternoon to you and everybody here on behalf of the people of Bangladesh. Your question is different than other questions. However, this is very important. What common I find for these climate defenders, when the industries go anywhere, first the abuse starts with the land acquisition. So existence is a big question, and then it comes to livelihood, then it comes to impacts. So the fight starts from the very beginning of the inception of any industry to be setting up.
And what would you say were the impacts in your community in Bangladesh and where you live in Bangladesh? What were the worst impacts?
Well, impacts are also a bit similar because it's not like limited to the land acquisition or the impacts, environmental impacts and impacts on the livelihood. I mean, like the intimidation, the forceful eviction, and the security threat for the organizers. These things are all similar, and every community is impacted similarly by that. But particularly for my community, and as you are pointing out Rampal power plant here, I need to let others know some information about Rampal. During 2010 to 2016, Bangladesh government was preparing the power system master plan, and that identified identified three major hubs in the coast to set up coal-based power plant to grow the economy by industrialization. And this is one important thing we should remember. One power plant is not just a power plant. When there is a power plant, many kinds of industrialization start there. So there is a cumulative impact, there is a huge and massive land acquisition, and all these things happen. For Rampal, when the government came up with the inception, they acquired 1,836 acres of land. And they decided to produce 5,280 megawatt of electricity from coal there. Due to the resistance and fight, that is now limited to the first phase, which is not even completed yet. Government was supposed to commission it in 2018, but they did not complete this first 1,320 megawatt yet. But more important thing is Rampal power plant is threatening a very unique natural wonder in the world, which is the Sundarbans. Sundarbans is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is the last habitat of Bengal tiger, and it's actually protecting this densely populated country from the extreme weather patterns that are increasing due to climate change coming from the Indian Ocean to the Bay of Bengal. So protesting Rampal power plant and protecting Sundarbans is not necessarily only protecting a mangrove forest, it's protecting a huge population, and it's not necessarily only killing a coal plant, it is also very important to protect a huge carbon sink in the world.
Yeah, and this is one of the points of the report, right? It's to show that this is not only, all the cases are not impacting only nature, but also the rights of people, right? I have one last question for you, which is if you could ask one thing to the governments or the society of all the countries represented here and other countries to protect climate defenders, protect the communities they defend, what thing do you think you would ask?
Well, we need solidarity and we need unity. Many people are struggling in many ways. The people who are in the community, they are struggling, they are bound to struggle because it's their existence. And for us, it's also existence, but in an indirect way. They are fighting in a direct way. There are many organizations who are also supporting them in many ways. There are human rights organizations, there are environmental organizations, there are some organizations who work with governance issues and corruption. So we need to identify the allies and we need to form an alliance and we need a coordinated movement from the community level, national level to global level. Because none of the power plants are being set up unilaterally by any government. There is technology either or equipment or finance. So there is a huge involvement of other countries and other entrepreneurs and other companies. So we actually need to unite climate defenders and we need to launch a coordinated movement. But we also need to prepare ourselves for the consequences because we are fighting against a big giant and mafias.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So we did hear some really strong, powerful stories and links. And just to close the launch of the report, I would like to invite the director for Latin America, Grade 50. Now I got the position right. Nicole Oliveira. Please, Nicole.
Thank you, Vinny. So I'm very happy to see all of you here, and I would like to also acknowledge some familiar faces, some colleagues that just came, Deborah, and other colleagues that you are seeing our new faces. I would also like to say how important it is to have representatives of a senator, Flávio Arnes, who is a member of the Human Rights Commission in the Brazilian Senate and who's fighting for human rights in Brazil. So we're very grateful for his work. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Luis Canto Bueno, who initiated the General State Attorney Office for Indigenous Affairs in Brazil. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Luis was also responsible for initiating the support center to indigenous communities in Brazil on behalf of the State Attorney Office. Thank you. We chose to launch this report, to do this gathering of climate defenders in Brazil because Latin America is the continent that kills the most human rights and climate defenders. And Brazil is the country that kills the most activists in the world. There's also representatives of different countries that have been suffering the same issue. And we are here and we decided to create this program because opposing the fossil fuel industry means that our community members, people that didn't choose to be defenders, who saw themselves in the situation because they are fighting the most powerful, organized, and rich industry in the world who is ruthless and is only interested in extract what they call natural resources and what we call natural goods, our life. Being a climate defender is, as 350, we support the work of the defenders on the ground who are every day risking their lives. And we just want to acknowledge the importance of all of you and say that the ones who are defending the climate are also defending life. This report for us is important because it highlights the connection between fossil fuel industry and human rights violations. The fossil fuel industry, when it comes to the country, brings not only human rights violations, threats, deaths, but it also brings corruption, and it also corrupts the systems that themselves were meant to protect these defenders, the police and other systems that were there for protection. So most of the time, the fossil fuel industry corrupts the system in a way that the people that are impacted by the projects themselves are seen without any support. So that's why we're here, and I would like to thank you all for being here. Thank you who are watching us online. And we close here, and I would like to close with a big clap to all climate defenders, not only the ones that are here, but all the world climate defenders.